Well, you guys, I think it's pretty clear from the entire build-up we've seen over the last few weeks to Super Bowl 57 that from a skill and even storyline perspective, we really couldn't ask for much better of a matchup. But while one side of this and the Philadelphia Eagles are going into this game on just about as high of a note as you possibly could, and the Kansas City Chiefs on the other hand, well, for various reasons, have seemed to attract a lot of doubters in the media over this time span. But despite what some people might think currently sits as a disadvantage for Kansas City heading into the big game, well, as crazy as it might actually seem, the Chiefs in turn might just come out with a game plan that, for the most part at least, hasn't been seen from them really over the course of this entire year. And what this might actually be, well, let's get into it. One sec though guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NFL video. But before we go any further, today's video is brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. Now, as you guys know, with the big game finally here, I'm teaming up with our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook to give any new customers a big time offer. Because all any new customers have to do is sign up at DraftKings using the promo code DIGEST, bet at least $5 on the big game, and you will receive an additional $200 in bonus bets instantly. And with these bonus bets, you can get even further in on the action with some of DraftKings same game parlays, where you can combine multiple bets like who will win, who will score the first touchdown, and more for a shot at even bigger winnings. But if mobile sports betting isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the action with the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. So be sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. New customers use promo code DIGEST and bet $5 on the big game to receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. Once again, that's promo code DIGEST only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, to get back on topic with the Kansas City Chiefs, because in a season that started with uncertainty as to how successful this team would actually be, due in large part to what can be considered a partial but big offensive revamp in the eyes of many. But despite what some of you might have thought, it's not much of a surprise to many as to how Kansas City is back on the biggest stage. Because with an air attack as rejuvenated and dominant as the one we saw the entire year, leading the league with absolute ease, you'd more than likely think this would be what head coach Andy Reid and the crew would happily ride into the sunset to hoist the Lombardi trophy yet again. But the thing about that is there might just be a wrench getting thrown into the process. Because while the injury status of what is the literal heartbeat of this air attack and team for that matter in Patrick Mahomes, who while the reports have been amazing on his progress over the last few weeks, it's still safe to say he will not be 100% before opening kickoff. And this, along with also going up against the clear-cut #1 pass defense in all of football this year, it at least has some people thinking out there that it could ultimately end up leading to the demise of Kansas City's Super Bowl aspirations. But let's just check back in with reality for a second. Because while yes, even Patrick Mahomes himself will tell you that he is still limited of specific capabilities that he's used to while trying to recover from the high ankle sprain, that still doesn't change the fact that, especially from what's been seen over the last 2 playoff games. Also, not to mention, this was when Patrick Mahomes' ankle was in a worse situation than it will be now, that I'd still take this man on one leg over probably 85% of NFL quarterbacks still. Because, I mean, in these 2 games, the ridiculous numbers he put up given the circumstances, his continued ability to have ridiculous pocket awareness and accuracy, and doing all of this on limited mobility, which is possibly one of the biggest assets to his play style, the film would typically throw out any concerns and worries that we've been constantly hearing about. But they do need to be a concern in this sense, especially when you're going up against a defense that is the best both from a pass prevention and a quarterback pressure perspective. However, the same can absolutely be said from Kansas City's pass protection, only further emphasizing the battle of the juggernauts we're about to witness here. But for anyone that might be worried about Kansas City's lack of ability to attack in one of the most lethal areas of their offense, I mean, just the fact in itself he put up a better average overall performance over these last 2 2 playoff games, again essentially on one ankle compared to what he had done throughout the course of the entire regular season this year, I would think that could convince you to not worry too much. But sometimes when we see Patrick Mahomes' ability to constantly extend plays be amplified by the media to the extent that it is, and obviously for good reason, as crazy as it sounds, sometimes it seems people forget how crazy efficient he is just as a simple, nonchalant pocket passer quarterback. And also not to mention, with plenty of targets and guys like JuJu Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Travis Kelce, all being able to thrive in quick routes when needed, especially in this playoff run, again given the circumstances. So the pass game, yes, while it will be limited to an extent, will still be far more usable than I think most people are anticipating. But what about the run game of Kansas City as well? Because at least from what I've seen for the most part, it seems to be disregarded by many far more than it should, especially going into this matchup. And yes, while usage-wise at least, it was more towards the lower tier when considering all NFL teams, but when you're talking about the efficiency of this use on the other hand, well, that is a completely different story. And when going up against a defense like Philadelphia, for example, who can definitely hold their own but aren't necessarily considered the best in this regard, they definitely have their ways of successfully attacking in the right situations. Just take what we saw against Jacksonville in the divisional round, for example, which is also a defense that is technically better in the run prevention than Philadelphia. They were able to consistently maintain a high yards per carry average, while the usage in this regard was higher than it usually is. Because with an absolute monster in Isiah Pacheco carrying the load and being the pure definition of a smash mouth run it up the middle RB1, you also have what we've seen all year in being able to utilize Mecole Hardman, who is finally back, new weapons like Kadarius Toney, and even rookie Sky Moore to always be able to throw defenses off every once in a while and getting some big plays out of pre-motion sets. So yes, when this regard is needed and can also be utilized, the Chiefs definitely know how to take advantage of it from time to time, but we'll still have to wait and see if it's something that they'll need to rely on more than usual. Then, to also touch on a defensive perspective, while it's definitely easier said than actually shown on the field, it seems like the situation that presents itself definitely favors Kansas City more than it would go against them. Because for a Kansas City defense, who it might be surprising to some, ranked as one of the best rush defenses in all of football this year, and an Eagles offense that predicates itself on establishing the run game to eventually move the ball in all areas of the field, this is yet another example of Clash of the Titans when considering the highly praised defensive line of Kansas City going toe-to-toe with the best offensive line the NFL saw for the entire 2022 season. And also with the air attack of Philadelphia being nothing short of phenomenal throughout the course of the entire season, and definitely needing to be one of, if not Kansas City's highest priority on this side of the ball. I don't think I'm making a bold prediction by any means when I say we're more than likely in store for an offensive shootout. But in the end, as we watch both of these offenses and defenses try to out-manipulate each other as they sit as some of the best in the league in their own respective regards, will what Kansas City potentially has up their sleeve going into this game be enough in the end to crown them as the 2023 NFL champions? Well, as always, we'll just have to wait and see. Nonetheless though, you guys, with everything mentioned so far regarding the Kansas City Chiefs and even the Super Bowl in general, I am extremely curious to hear what you have to think about the situation. So please be sure to let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to be the biggest factor as to if Kansas City will be able to pull it off in Super Bowl 57? And also, if you had to guess, give me a final score prediction and who you see coming out on top. But once again, guys, don't forget to drop a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe to never miss another NFL video. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you out there for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.